Seniors, stop right there. These are the 9 foods you should never keep in the refrigerator, and here's why. What if I told you that the very appliance you trust to keep your food fresh might be quietly harming your health every single day? It sounds far-fetched, but inside that cold box are 9 everyday foods that react badly to refrigeration in ways most people, especially seniors, have never been told. And this isn't only about flavor or texture. We're talking about chemical changes, nutrient destruction, and bacterial growth caused by cold storage. Here's the unsettling part. More than 99% of people over 60 still refrigerate these items without realizing the potential impact on their gut, heart, and even brain. Some experts suspect that our obsession with refrigeration could even be fueling the rise in chronic diseases. Today, we're uncovering the real science. Every point you hear is backed by peer-reviewed studies, and all the sources are linked in the description. Before we start, drop a comment below with where you're watching from, your age, and whether you've ever noticed a change in taste or texture after refrigerating certain foods. We read and respond to every comment with tailored tips and advice. And of course, hit that like button and subscribe so you don't miss more health-protecting videos like this. All right, let's jump in.
Number 9. Potatoes. This one might shock you. When you store potatoes in the fridge, you're not just making them taste odd, you're creating a toxic compound. Here's the science. Cold temperatures trigger something called cold-induced sweetening, where the potato's starch turns into sugar. When you later cook those chilled potatoes at high heat, those sugars combine with amino acids to form acrylamide, a substance the International Agency for Research on Cancer classifies as a probable human carcinogen. The University of Idaho found that potatoes kept in a refrigerator developed 300% more sugar in just 14 days, and this was true across over 500 potato samples tested. On top of that, cold breaks down the potato's cells, leaving them gritty and overly sweet. Ever had mashed potatoes that taste off? Now you know why. How to store them instead? Keep them in a cool, dark place, about 45 to 50 degrees Fahrenheit, like a pantry or cellar. Darkness is critical because light triggers solanine, a toxic green compound. Use paper bags or baskets for airflow. Never plastic. It traps moisture and speeds rotting. And here's a pro tip. Keep potatoes and onions at least 3 feet apart, because each releases gases that make the other spoil faster. Stored right, potatoes can last 3 months, but in the fridge, they're ruined in 2 weeks.
Number 8. Bread. This surprises almost everyone. Storing bread in the fridge actually makes it go stale 6 times faster. That's due to starch retrogradation, a process where starch molecules crystallize and push out moisture, making bread hard and crumbly. Researchers found that refrigerated bread lost softness in just 3 days, while room temperature bread stayed fresh for a week. Refrigeration also destroys the flavor compounds, those beautiful aromatic molecules that make fresh bread smell amazing, leaving it bland and cardboard-like. Better method, keep bread in a bread box or paper bag at room temperature so it can breathe without drying out. If you won't finish it within a week, slice it first, then freeze it. Freezing locks in texture without giving starch molecules time to damage the structure. Just toast slices straight from the freezer, no thawing.
Number 7. Honey. Honey might be nature's perfect food. It literally never spoils. Archaeologists have even found edible 3,000-year-old honey in Egyptian tombs. But refrigeration, that ruins it. Cold makes honey crystallize quickly, turning smooth liquid gold into a grainy, hardened mass. Worse, each time you open a cold jar, condensation forms inside, adding moisture, honey's biggest enemy. The National Honey Board found that honey stored below 50 degrees Fahrenheit loses up to 35% of its antimicrobial power, which is why ancient healers used it as a natural antibiotic. Cold also breaks down the 180-plus compounds that give honey its complex taste, making it taste cheap and flat. Store it at 64 to 75 degrees Fahrenheit in a tightly sealed jar away from sunlight. If it crystallizes, just warm the jar gently in water. Fun fact, dark honey has more antioxidants, but it's also more sensitive to cold damage.
Number 6. Coffee. Coffee lovers, brace yourselves. Your refrigerator is your coffee's worst enemy. Coffee beans are extremely porous, which means they soak up odors from whatever's around them. That leftover takeout, that wedge of forgotten cheese, your beans will absorb it all like a sponge. And that's why your morning brews sometimes taste wrong. But odor isn't the only problem. In the fridge, temperature changes cause condensation on the beans. This moisture triggers premature aging, can encourage mold, and causes the oils, where most of coffee's flavor lives, to solidify. Grind cold beans, and those oils won't extract properly, leaving you with a weak, flat cup. A study by the Specialty Coffee Association found that refrigerated beans lose 60% of their aroma in just 1 week. The fix: store beans in an opaque, airtight container at room temperature, 60 to 70 degrees Fahrenheit, and away from light. Buy smaller amounts you'll finish within 2 weeks. If you must store coffee long-term, freezing is better than refrigerating, but freeze it only once, in weekly portions, sealed airtight. Never refreeze.
Number 5. Garlic. Garlic in the fridge? That's a flavor and nutrition disaster. In cold, moist conditions, garlic starts sprouting. Those green shoots are bitter and can upset digestion. Worse, mold can grow, and some molds produce dangerous mycotoxins. Research from UC Davis found that refrigerated garlic loses 50% of its allicin, the compound responsible for its antibacterial, antiviral, and heart-healthy benefits, in just 10 days. Cold also breaks down its cell walls, making cloves mushy and sticky, impossible to chop neatly. Proper storage: keep garlic in a cool, dry place with airflow, like a mesh bag or basket, at around 60 to 65 degrees Fahrenheit. No plastic or sealed containers. Garlic needs to breathe. Keep away from sunlight and stove heat. Whole heads last up to 6 months. Once broken apart, use within 10 days. Bonus tip: room temperature garlic releases more flavor than cold clothes, making your cooking taste noticeably better.
Number 4. Bananas. Bananas and fridges simply don't mix. Being tropical fruits, bananas aren't built for cold. Below 56 degrees Fahrenheit, they suffer chilling injury. Cells rupture, enzymes leak, and the fruit starts to break down from the inside. The skin blackens, the flesh turns mushy, and their vitamin C content can drop 80% in just 5 days. Refrigeration also halts nutrient production. Bananas normally keep developing healthy compounds as they ripen, but cold stops that process dead. Best method? Store at room temperature, 56 to 70 degrees Fahrenheit, ideally hanging to prevent bruising. To speed ripening, put them in a paper bag with an apple. To slow it down, separate the bananas and wrap the stems in plastic wrap, cutting ethylene gas release by up to 40%. Once perfectly ripe, they can go in the fridge for a day or 2 at most, or peel and freeze them for smoothies. Frozen bananas make them creamier without ice.
Number 3. Onions. Refrigerating whole onions is one of the most common and costly storage mistakes. Humidity in the fridge is around 95%, but onions need no more than 65%. That extra moisture seeps in, encouraging black mold that can produce dangerous aflatoxins. Before mold even shows up, cold turns onion starch into sugar. Texas University researchers found refrigerated onions had a 270% sugar increase after 2 weeks. The result? Sweet, mushy onions that can't caramelize properly. Store whole onions in a cool, dry, well-ventilated spot, 45 to 55 degrees Fahrenheit. Mesh bags, baskets, even pantyhose work. Keep them away from potatoes, they make each other spoil faster, and out of sunlight. Once cut, onions should be refrigerated in an airtight container and used within a week, but whole onions, never in the fridge.
Number 2. Tomatoes. This one shocks people most. Cold doesn't just ruin tomato flavor, it changes them at the genetic level. University of Florida researchers found refrigeration turns off the genes that produce flavor compounds. Once off, they don't turn back on, even if the tomato warms up again. Below 54 degrees Fahrenheit, hundreds of genes shut down, and the tomato becomes a watery red balloon with little nutrition. Lycopene, the antioxidant that helps protect the heart and fights cancer, drops in availability by up to 65% in the cold. Worse, the enzymes needed to absorb what's left are destroyed completely. Under a microscope, you can see the damage. Ice crystals puncture the cells, making tomatoes mealy and grainy. The fix? Store stem side down at 55 to 70 degrees Fahrenheit, away from direct sun, but with some indirect light. Avoid plastic bags. Trapped ethylene gas speeds rotting. Use ripe tomatoes within 3 to 5 days or cook them into sauce and freeze. Cooked tomato actually has more available lycopene than raw.
Number 1. Avocados. If you've ever put an avocado in the fridge before it's ripe, you've probably wondered why it never seemed to get soft, or why it turned into brown mush the second it did. That's because refrigeration slows ripening by disrupting ethylene production, the natural plant hormone that makes fruit mature. Below 50 degrees Fahrenheit, an avocado's ripening enzymes go dormant. If it's still hard, it can stay that way for weeks, then rapidly over-ripen the moment you take it out. The California Avocado Commission found that storing unripe avocados in the fridge cut their healthy monounsaturated fats by nearly 25% in 2 weeks, and vitamin E levels dropped by half. This matters because vitamin E is one of your body's main defenders against cell damage and inflammation. Best practice? Let avocados ripen at room temperature, 65 to 75 degrees Fahrenheit. To speed things up, place them in a paper bag with a banana or apple. The ethylene will do the work in a day or 2. Once ripe, then you can refrigerate them to slow further ripening for up to 5 days. For longer storage, mash with lemon juice and freeze in airtight containers.
So there you have it. 9 everyday foods that the fridge is quietly ruining. Potatoes, bread, honey, coffee, garlic, bananas, onions, tomatoes, avocados. This isn't just about flavor. It's about protecting the nutrients your body depends on and avoiding compounds that can harm your health. It's time to rethink the way we store food. Our grandparents knew these tricks, and science is finally backing them up. If you found this eye-opening, hit that like button and share this video with a friend who needs to stop refrigerating their bananas. And remember, healthy eating isn't just about what you eat, but also how you store it.